Uy.
I'm going to add 2 upon completion.
Hey, how's it going? We'll be starting within the next 5 minutes. Hey, hope everybody's doing okay. I'm a bit under the weather right now, so I'm gonna try to keep this as brief and get the agenda moving. Uh, yeah. Good evening, everybody. Well, good night, actually. We don't have quorum yet, but we're gonna get the agenda moving. Let me see. So as far as the report, it's been an interesting month. A lot of meetings, but besides that, everything's well. So we'll start off right away with the reports. We'll start off with the 34th today.
Good evening, everybody. How y'all doing? I'm Lieutenant Gomez, and I'll give you a quick breakdown of the 28-day period in the 3-4 precinct compared to last year. So this year we have homicides. We got 0 compared to 0 in 2021. Rapes in 2022, we have 3 compared to 0 in 2021. We have 24 robberies compared to 21 in 2021. We have 25 felony assaults compared to 20 in 2021. We got 11 burglaries compared to 5 in 2021. Grand larcenies, we got 58 compared to 41 in 2021. Grand larceny auto, we have 23 compared to 20 last year for a total of 144 to 107. So we have for the felony assaults, we have 3 strangulations. We got 6 assaults on a PO, 1 with serious physical injury. We got 7 knife stabs, people stabbed and slashed. We got 1 firearm recover. We got 1 blunt object assault. We had out of all this felonious assaults, 6 are domestic related, and we made 11 arrests out of the 25, and 14 are still open. We have 24 robberies, 159 EDP calls, 213 DIR prepares, domestic incident reports prepared. Animal abuse, 311 calls. We have 4 animal abuse, 311 calls. 3 of them are unfounded out of the 4. And the one that is not unfounded is 728 West 181 Street. We had a puppy with a broken elbow inside a pet store. ASPCA was notified. We have 3 animal abuse 911 calls, and all of them are unfounded. We have 3 arson complaints, 2 fires on vehicles, and 1 to a building. That's pretty much it. That's what I got.
Right. Does anybody have any questions for the 34th? Including members of the public, I'll take some questions. Just make sure you raise your hand. Any questions for the 3-4 precinct? Seems we have somebody from the public. Give me 1 second. Yes, Aileen.
Hello, my name is Eileen King, and I attended the community council meeting last Thursday, and which they talked about the very serious and reckless driving the donuts and drag racing on Amsterdam going into Fort George Avenue. And they promised to do barriers. And the barriers were there, at least on Saturday they were there, and they were also there on Sunday. And that was that helped with the drag racing, but what it did was move the parties down St. Nicholas Avenue. So there was a big street party on 193rd Street. But I want to say that I did do a 311 call, and it had helped. So I'm just saying we have a very tough summer ahead of us, and we want to work very closely with the 34th precinct in addressing these safety and health issues on this part of the neighborhood. So just wanted to say that. Thank you.
Eileen, what part specifically are you referring to?
I live in the Fort George area, so I live by George Washington High School, Isabella, that whole nexus on the northern end of St. Nicholas Avenue.
Okay.
At the top of Fort George Hill. Mm-hmm.
All right, thank you. Anybody else have any questions for the 34th precinct? Gabriela?
Thank you, Domingo. I just want to echo Eileen's statement. I was also part of that meeting last week. And definitely, you know, we want to work alongside the 34th precinct and the community as a whole and see, you know, how can we be more proactive in terms of trying to cut down all this, not only noise, but also it's a health issue more than anything else. So I just wanted to put on the record that I was part of that meeting last week, and it was very productive meeting. But we really hope, as I stated last week, that the 34th precinct help us to keep the community safe and in human conditions, right? Living conditions. Thank you.
And to speak to that, I know that the Department of Transportation is doing some modifications on Amsterdam, which is going to complicate a bit more as far as like the speeding down, how it usually was when there was 2 lanes. So supposedly the logic behind making more narrower lanes is that it prevents that type of speeding from happening, being that there are probably going to be more cars, more congestion, like basically developing, I'm assuming that's the logic behind it, developing a little bit more congestion so that it reduces the speeds in a lot of the in a narrower street. But is there anything you want to say to that, officers? Lieutenant, I mean.
Well, I don't get too much involved in the what the Department of Transportation is trying to do, but what I can say is that we working real hard to try to address those issues and concerns that you guys have. Believe me, it does bother us when people are being reckless in the street, and it puts everybody's safety on the line. So we promise you that the commanding officer and everybody here, the NCOs and patrol, with the limited resources that they have, we are working hard to try to address those issues.
All right, I see Barbara, you have a hand, but I want to ask a question. Has there been a new commanding officer named yet? Because I was invited to a meeting to speak to the potential.
No, not yet. Not
okay.
Yet.
All right, thank you. Barbara? You're muted, Barbara.
Sorry, I'm not sure if this was covered. I had difficulty getting zoomed in, technical difficulties. At the last meeting, and you weren't able to be there, Domingo, we discussed this situation at the top of Fort George Hill behind the high school. And the officer that was there last time said that, which had been very effective before, was that when the area was closed off, that two approaches were used, and we were basically given a guarantee it would be done again. One was that only people, they would check IDs, and the only cars that would be allowed to enter the area were those of residents that live there. so that people would show IDs. And if they live there on, Amsterdam or in that neighborhood, they would be allowed to enter. Because one of the major problems is that people come from Westchester and New Jersey and so forth and party and do what they do here, what they cannot do in their own neighborhoods. And so I want to know if that's being implemented clearly. And the other was the confiscation of the speakers that are on top of cars, which is illegal. It's illegal to be playing a amplified speaker outside without a sound permit. So I have seen on the Facebook neighborhood pages several videos of these speakers blasting away. So they clearly have not been over the last month confiscating these speakers. So I ask, what's up? Okay.
Well, we believe me, the NCOs are doing their best. You also have to understand that the 3-4 precinct in total has approximately 140 cops, and these guys are doing their best. The resources are limited. I'm not making an excuse, but we do have an issue with the resources that we have. If in the case that you spoke about the barriers, in order for those barriers to work, we do have to have a certain amount of police officers managing those barriers, because if not, people are just going to move them and just go do their thing.
Mhm.
And we do have an issue with resources, and if we put the barrier there and then we put the resources there, we're going to be neglecting other serious conditions that we have, like shootings and stabbings and robberies. So but believe me, I'll bring it up to the commanding officer, and we'll do our best to address that condition. In regards to the amplifiers, the NCOs, I wish you were here in the precinct. I will show you they confiscated a lot of speakers, but if you drive around Washington Heights, in every corner there's multiple people with speakers. If we just put all our efforts into taking out the speakers and not addressing other conditions, there'll definitely be an issue.
Well, it's not, there's 120 officers. It's not merely the 8 NCOs who are in the business of confiscating speakers. That should be as routine for any officer as it is to write a traffic ticket or make a general arrest. No? Yes?
Yeah, I do understand what you're trying to say. However, the 3-4 precinct is putting out 4 cars to cover the entire 3-4 precinct. If we have guys that are on patrol, so if we have 4 cars and 1 car or 2 car are dealing with the speaker situation, which they should, there's going to be neglecting services when people call 911, because unfortunately the resources are limited, and we're gonna try to tackle it. However, we ask for the public to be understanding and understand that we're trying to do our best with the resources that we have.
All right, thank you. Any more questions from either board members or community members for the 34 precinct? Going once, going twice. Thank you, Lieutenant.
Thank you.
We will be off. We'll be back in September, so I look forward to having a summer report. And if anything, just reach out to the board.
Yes, sir.
All right, thank you. Next up, we have the 33rd precinct.
Good evening, everyone. I'm Lieutenant Garcia from the 33 precinct. I'm in Day Perry. We have murder. We have 0. It's gonna be 2 versus.
Lieutenant Garcia, there's something wrong with your audio. It's coming out very distorted.
I'm sorry. Let me see if I can try to manage to. Can you guys hear me or no?
Is it only me? Because I hear some distortion in the audio.
No, I hear the same, Domingo.
There's
Yeah,
a lot
you're
of
right.
there's a lot of static. Maybe it's a weak connection. There's static.
Oh, let me see. Could you guys give me a
All right, so we'll get back to you, Lieutenant Garcia, and then we'll just move forward with the reports. Okay, I know we have Superintendent Miller here.
Hey, good evening, all, everyone.
Hey, how's it going?
Hi. All right. So as you know, we have our tour for next Tuesday, June 7th. I've got confirmation of 4 community panelist members. It's not too late if anybody else is interested in taking a tour at Edgecombe. We are in the middle of doing some renovations for the new transitional housing program. So if anybody still wants to sign up, you can, and we can accommodate you next Tuesday. Presently, there's no incarcerated individuals with COVID. We do have 2 staff members that are currently out that tested positive. They're both vaccinated. They will do their 5 days, and with a negative test, they will return. So I look forward to, seeing everyone that can make it next Tuesday. That's it at this time.
All right, thank you, Superintendent. As far as and I've had a few unfortunate situations arise and haven't been able to give the proper follow-up. But as far as the transition that's happening in Edgecombe, is there a plan? Like, how is this? How do these pilot program or programming shift work? Because yet again, it's concerning when what this community has become, like a huge shelter that we get all this information last minute, and our communities becoming like the fabric is deterring. So we're interested in, and not to say that not everybody deserves housing, not everybody deserves humanly accommodations, but I also think it's important to engage the community in conversations, particularly when we're talking about a shift and we still don't know any framework or anything that this supposed transition means, besides the fact that it'll be housing individuals 60 to 90 days, the programming, but we got local nonprofits who do all of that. So I'm just interested in getting more information about that.
Certainly. So, the first thing was, as soon as I was able to, I shared it with the group. Our target start date is August 1st. All the individuals that will be coming on a voluntary basis. They're going to be coming because of the resources that are going to be available to them. There are people that actually want to avoid being in the shelter system. We're offering what we believe a more stable environment with some enhancements. I met with the commander for the 33rd precinct. They're aware. I'm reaching out to the Manhattan DA's office also for them to be aware and just support what we're doing. What we're going to do is, for example, our camera system around the facility, we're getting that upgraded. There's going to be clear instructions on how people are to comport themselves. And like I said, we're giving them something that we believe is a value that they don't want to lose. So it's a little different than just a regular shelter situation. The stipend that we give and what we're also looking to partner with Osborne for individuals, I think is a great incentive for everybody to follow, the rules and regulations that it would take to be in the facility in that manner. So somebody coming there is coming for a specific purpose. And it's not just because they have nowhere to be and nowhere to go. We've partnered with DHS to develop that if someone is at Edgecombe, they're still eligible to get, if they don't have anybody to move in with or get their own place, they're still eligible to go to the next level, which is a single room occupancy with vouchers provided by DHS. So, we're trying to look at all aspects to limit homelessness and help people progress to stable housing.
Yeah, that's
Because
understandable.
really, Hmm?
That's understandable, but what I'm interested more is the framework and the parameters for this type of program, right? So if we're bringing programming into our community, we just want to know, like, we want to have an understanding of what are the parameters, because you just named some agencies that deal directly with one is prosecution, the other one is enforcement. Have you communicated with any elected official yet? With this is more about, this is coming to our community and educating and informing the community of what's happening, instead of just transitioning just because, like there's
Right. So maybe I wasn't clear when I first.
Okay.
This is something that came at the behest of the state legislature.
Okay.
They signed off on this. This came out of the Crime and Corrections Committee. So it's something that they wanted docs to do. And docs, is something different that they're willing to do. So that this came
Okay.
out of the legislature. It's not being done without the legislature's knowledge. So I don't know if I articulated that well enough.
It's just very confusing, because it just seems like there's a shift, right? Usually when you think of shifts, right, where you're talking about now we're going to revamp the facility to be able to withstand or transition it to be able to welcome these sort of individuals, right? It's also like, what are we, like, this is a new process. This is going to have new implications. You know what I'm trying to say? So
Domingo, I wish you would come on the tour.
I will. Sign me up. I'm going to be in the tour.
Okay.
Sign me up. I'll be there.
So, all right. I think that'll be a little more helpful for you.
Yeah. Like I said, I've been out of it because, unfortunately, last month, one of the program participants, his father was murdered. So I had to take some time off last month.
Mhm.
And it's crazy. Like, it's crazy. So I don't want, like, seeing families traumatized is one thing, is one thing. Theorizing about traumatized families is another. So, like, if we could prevent certain situations from arising, that's why I'm probing so much. And now, yes, count me in for the tour. I will be there. Domingo Estevez.
Domingo.
Yeah,
last month, Superintendent Mitchell gave Miller gave a more comprehensive discussion on this.
Okay.
Just a quick couple bullets about this, or points about this. One, there's a 9 p.m. curfew for all participants in the program. I have to be in at 9 p.m. or 10 p.m.?
10 p.m.
10 p.m. Okay. A very strictly enforced curfew. Also, there's a very clear comportment in terms of no loitering in the neighborhood and how they're, to comport themselves. 3, they have each one, they basically have a very one-on-one parole officer on site. It's not one of these things where, you call your parole officer on the phone every 2 weeks. There's parole officer on site, which is carefully developing, interacting. I don't want to use the word monitoring, but developing, interacting, coaching, and so forth, the person in transition. So I think those were 3 salient. Also, New York Presbyterian is donating gym equipment. There's a community room and it'll also be a part gym. So to build a certain sense of place and belonging. And we're also donating some games and board games and so forth. So there's more of a sense of a living place rather than a shelter or incarceration place. So those are some of the things that we were discussed last month to give it a different sense as a transition residence. Okay.
All right, thank you, Barbara. And we have a question from, give me a second.
I'm not saying I fully endorse it and I share some of your concerns, but I do think those were 4 important salient points.
Thank you, Barbara. I wasn't aware. All right, thank you. BG?
Yeah, okay, Superintendent Miller. You know, it is a very good intentioned program, right? And you ever hear the saying that the road to hell is paved with good intentions?
Yeah.
Never heard it.
You know, I'm sure you've heard that, right? It's
I
pretty
know.
old cliche. Now, down in Chinatown, a woman was murdered by a guy who was on supervised release. Okay, so I don't really trust a lot of the supervised release stuff. You know, this neighborhood especially does not really necessarily need this. You know, I mean, to add this to the some of the pandemonium that goes on around here. I mean, you're here on the during the meetings. You're hearing about all the stuff that's going on here. You know, and so you're willing to guarantee these guys are not going to take part in the illegal parties that go on outside and blasting music and the loitering and all this other stuff. You're going to be able to make sure that this is not an added thing on top. You know, another straw on top of the camel's back over here.
Yeah, I would not expect that. I can't make any guarantees because they're free citizens. They are literally on parole, but they still, you know, they have rights and things of that nature. What we're doing, I love to have the conversation, and I've been, you know, participating with the panel for going on 3 years now.
Yes.
And I've seen different responses to different things, and you know, so I can kind of adapt to the different concerns. But in the, you know, in the past, I felt more of embracing the concept of second chances and realizing that we're the Department of Corrections, not the Department of Punishment, and what we're trying to do is change behavior so people make better decisions in the future and become productive citizens. And you know, the state's actually putting its money, you know, behind its mouth in trying to support something that will be positive and have people make better choices. So everything that we're going to do from when they first come in, the orientation, explaining what their plan is, right? Because you know, if you don't plan, failing the plan is planning to fail. That's my contribution to the.
Well, with all due respect, if they violate parole, aren't there much more lax things about that? They're not going to go back to jail. They're just going to wind up with some kind of a reprimand and continue in the program, right?
But this is something that the state has passed. This is something that was supported. It wasn't the department's idea. Believe me, there's been we've always felt that conditions of release gave us an extra level. But society feels that we're actually too, you know, that the conditions are unfair and that people are unfairly incarcerated for not committing crimes, but just violating conditions. So that was a decision made, you know, outside of our parameters. We have to work within the rules. That being said, there are still things that they're subject to. They still do have the rules, and they're still subject to lose opportunities of, you know, getting off early, which everybody would like to get, you know, or get merit release and things of that nature. So there are reasons why they will adhere to their conditions because it can shorten the length of stay. But, you know, one of the reasons we engaged, we're looking at a holistic. So we're not just saying everything's a comfy couch. We're saying that if something happens, we are already taking contingencies to deal with that. So we're looking at the full thing, and that was keeping in mind what I heard in the past. So that's why I mentioned that we are looking to enhance our cameras and work with the 33rd so they can see anything happening around the facility. So we're trying to be a good neighbor in that degree. So first of all, it's not going to come out heavy. It's not going to be, you know, 50 guys in 1 week. It's not going to be that way. It's going to start off slow. It's going to build, you know, and we're going to see. And like I said, we're looking to be the good neighbors that we've been since I've been superintendent. And, we will make sure that we do what we are supposed to do with the population. So,
I mean, I
look
get, I
forward to
get
your
that it's
support,
not, I get that you're implementing a program that you did not put in place, right? You're basically doing your job, and I get that. All I'm saying, and I'm saying this because to put it out to the board, because we got to start to talk to the people who are representing us upstate, because this went through and nobody ever said a word to us. Nobody ever said a word to us, and there's a lot of other neighborhoods they could do this in. A lot of other neighborhoods. So this neighborhood has its own unique problems. And I feel that it's just adding extra stuff. I mean, we just listened to how understaffed the 34th is. I know the 33rd is probably equally understaffed, and we just keep on adding more stuff on top of more stuff. And it's to me, I hope that everything winds up being great. These guys go out, they get themselves jobs, everything goes terrific. One day they show up, wearing a suit and carrying a briefcase, and they have their job at wherever downtown in Wall Street, But seeing what goes on with a lot of people, with a lot of recently released parolees and people like that, and there's been a lot of crimes being, very, very serious crimes being committed by people who were just off of parole. So,
Bernard, the Chinatown murder was the so-called supervised release was, again, what I strongly oppose. He was only had to call in once every 2 weeks and have some sort of face-to-face brief contact once a month, which is exactly what you don't want.
Yeah,
so
think
you can't compare that to what this situation would be.
Yeah, correct.
Okay.
And
let's hope. Well, yeah, but I mean, I'm on your side, Domingo. I think that there should have been more discussion with the.
Yeah, that's.
I'm not on anybody's side. I'm just correcting a point of fact. Okay.
Right. Thank you, Barbara. The only I'm not saying I'm pro or I'm against it. I always believe in redemption. I always believe in providing people a pathway to be able to be successful in life, regardless of what mistakes or hiccups occurred in the past. All I'm saying is that I'm starting to see a recurring pattern in our community, which is once things are done, that's when we're informed, as opposed to engaging us in the process, which is the courtesy that almost a lot of the more affluent communities get. You know what I'm saying? So that's why I'm just engaging in this conversation, not to say that I'll oppose. I'm just, and again, Superintendent Miller, that has nothing to do with you. It's just trying to call out a process that sometimes seems to always put community like ours on the short end. And it's like, oh, well, you found out now, but thank you. It's a great program. It's great intentions. You get what I'm trying to say? So I'm not trying to say anything about the program. What I'm trying to say is about the process, which put our community to be even considered for the program and who was being engaged in that conversation. That's all I'm trying to get to, not necessarily anything else.
Exactly.
I believe in individuals getting, all of us make mistakes. None of us should be confined and disregarded for our entire lives based on our mistakes. But I also do believe in when we engage in conversations, sometimes things come out better because you expand the stakeholder pool and people actually value what they have. But you can't just throw something at me and just be like, hey guys, great job. This is a great program. I hope you enjoy it. But if something goes wrong, we have to deal with it because we don't even know the parameters of what's even here. You get what I'm trying to say? That's all I'm trying to get to.
Okay. Understood.
And thank you so much. And I will see you next week.
Is a visit at 11?
Yes.
All right.
Yeah.
The office has the information, Superintendent Miller?
They do.
Okay, cool. So I'll be in contact with Chanel just to be able to get the information. And again, right, we'll just keep having these conversations because one thing about me is I'm not worried about the aftermath. I'm worried about the process. You know what I'm saying? If we get the process right, what we'll get is a culminating impactful solution, and I think that's where I'm trying to get to. And thank you so much for your patience, Superintendent.
No problem. My pleasure. Thank you.
All right. Is there, I believe the 33rd, the Lieutenant Garcia is back from the 33rd.
Yes, I am. Good evening, everyone. Can you hear me better now?
Yes, perfect.
Okay, great. So I just want to start by giving you guys the 28-day numbers for the crimes committed. So we have for murder, we had 0 versus 0. Rape, it was 2 versus 1. For robbery, it was 8 versus 30. Felony assault, it was 22 versus 18. For burglary, it was 4 versus 7. For grand larceny, it was 21 versus 24. Grand larceny of auto, 14 versus 7. Overall, we have 71 versus 87. So we're doing pretty good compared to last year. We're actually number 3 in the city with the lowest crime. With 1.2% lower on the crime. In regards to the breakdown for the robberies, we have a total of 4 arrests. 4 of these robberies were with firearms, 1 with cutting instrument. There was 3 with physical force, 4 were in the street, 3 residential apartment, and 1 ATM bank. For felony assault, we had a total of 16 arrests. It was the breakdown for the assaults was 1 firearm, 1 with cutting instrument, 11 blowing objects, 8 physical force, and 1 with a BB gun. And for the burglary, we have 0 arrests. It was 1 commercial, 1 residential, and 2 trucks overnight. For the grand larcenies, we have a total of 3 arrests. It was 10 for unattended property, 2 identity theft, 7 from a person, 2 from an auto. And that should be it. If anybody has any questions, comments, or concern?
Anybody got questions? Ozzy?
Yeah, I think I asked last month or the month before to get a report about animal cruelty statistics.
Yes, you did. I actually looked into that. We don't have any, thanks God, we don't have any reports for animal cruelty at this moment.
Okay, thank you.
BG, do you have your hand up again, or this was an old?
No, I have my hand up again.
Okay, go ahead.
I'm in the 33rd.
Oh.
How you doing, Lieutenant?
Good evening.
Yeah. Okay, so I'm talking about 161st Street between Broadway and Fort Washington. There's constantly a party over here every weekend. And I'm coming to believe that it's being sponsored by the commercial businesses that the party is in front of. There's, I guess, from 601 through 609 West 161st Street, you have 2 hair salons, 2 shipping places, and then a cigar store, right? And they are actually running these parties. One went until 4 o'clock in the morning the other night. And I believe that sometimes they have speakers on the street that are plugged into the business, okay? So what I was going to ask you is it possible that instead of giving tickets to the people participating in the parties, can you give summonses to the businesses that the party's in front of?
Well, yes, depending on what kind of situation we're talking about. If you're talking about the music and the drinking, we actually do go there constantly, and we do remove the speakers from them, and we summon whoever the owner of the speaker is, and also summons people for open container, by them having the place of drinks on the street. I'm sure you're seeing it. But as far as the business establishment, I mean, it depends on what exactly are they doing. I mean, are they the one playing the music? Because when we go and if we see the speaker playing from either a vehicle or somebody has a portable speaker on the sidewalk, then those are the ones that we actually go after and we take and we summon whoever the owner is. But if you're referring,
let's say a speaker is plugged into an outlet coming out of one of the businesses instead of it being, So at that point, who's responsible?
Well, we go based on who the owner of the speaker is, and
Okay.
you actually brought up a good point. I can actually look into it definitely, but honestly, for my understanding is the way it works is whoever owns the speaker, But I can definitely look into what you just mentioned, which is in regards
Well,
to
it's a chronic situation that really started in 2020, and I thought it was finally going to go away, and it hasn't. It just
and
continues, and it's
well,
really.
Go ahead. I'm sorry.
It's really impossible. I mean, until 4 o'clock in the morning.
Yeah,
I mean,
unfortunately, that's a problem that we have in the whole command, the whole Washington Heights. Honestly, we do sees a lot of speakers. Most of them we actually post them on Twitter. I don't know if you have noticed, but I'm actually here not that long. I've been here for maybe 4 months, 3 months now, almost 4, and I'm in charge of the NCOs and the public safety guys, and they're actually out there working very hard removing the speakers.
no, I understand they are working hard. I'm just trying to see if there's another way to address the situation that might be better. You know what I mean? But
Yes, but like I said, I mean the law and my theory is what's the better way to hurt somebody with the pocket? Once you got to pay, that's when people start understanding most of the time. So a fine is pretty
right.
much.
And there's also another chronic location. There's always a car on Fort Washington and 161st, always. And the guy he thinks that he's starting around the shift change, although I know that you guys are now overlapping, but he thinks he's starting around literally 10 o'clock. Maybe I'm being paranoid, but I really do believe that that's what the guy's trying to do. So they start at 10 o'clock at night, Friday, Saturday, and they stay there and they keep on blasting music until either it rains or at some point maybe you guys come through and do something. But it's always the same cars, and I can actually deliver you a few of the plate numbers.
Okay, definitely. You can always call 311, but absolutely, I'll take that information. You can always call 311, and we always out there. I actually monitor the 311s when I'm actually here, and pretty much I'm here late most of the time. And we do drive around those locations, and like I said, we do seize a lot of speakers. I'm sure, as everybody knows, it's not the only location that we have a problem with, but I know that. Yeah. I will take this in consideration, and I actually will pay a close attention to see what
it's just really, really chronic. I mean, it's almost as if it's on a schedule. I can almost set my watch by this.
I'll look into
it. Especially the guy over on 161st in Fort Washington.
All right, I'll make sure we pay close attention to
that. I appreciate it. And you guys are you guys are out there, and I know you've been doing what you can. But
thanks, I appreciate it. We definitely are, and I'll pay close attention to that. See how we can do better.
Thank you.
Okay, Barbara.
Yeah, I have a couple questions about that situation where you say the businesses along 161st Street seem to be involved, okay? And around Sherman Avenue and such in previous years, that has occurred and had been able to be dealt with by seeing if the businesses themselves were actively engaged. For example, are there lights on late at night? Like a beauty shop shouldn't be open past maybe 10 o'clock at night.
Yes, they are open. They're open the whole time. Yes.
Okay. All right. Well, they don't have a business license to be operating at 1 a.m. Are they serving drinks there? Is it clear that there are coolers or ice or something like that would be, or food that is being served out of like the beauty parlor or what you say, an insurance company or something? Is there food or drink or something being served?
There are shipping companies. There are coolers out there, but I don't know where they come from.
Okay, are the coolers inside the insurance company and the beauty parlor?
No, they're out there with the people, mostly.
They're out there with the people. Okay. Yeah. All right. Well, you're not allowed to publicly drink on the streets. So, I mean, the coolers can be, confiscated. I mean, that's a no-no. But you're saying the lights are on in the businesses.
Yep.
So how are the businesses? How are the inside of the shipping company and the beauty parlors engaged in the party?
Barbara, we're live right now. I think it's best to get a
All right,
meeting with.
think about that, because that, for example, there may be violations that the NCOs and the lieutenant there can deal with, okay?
Remember, we could go back to having these conversations back in September now, because I believe we'll be going back in person beginning in September. And the reason I say this is because this is being recorded. You never know whose hand this might fall on and put in
Okay.
tough situations. Any more questions for the 33rd? Going once, twice. Thank you so much, Lieutenant Garcia. Look forward to seeing you in September. I don't know if anybody from the committee has any recommendations as far as it's going to be a long summer. The summer already started interesting enough, very, very violent. So look forward to seeing what the report for the summer in September.
All right, thanks. Have a good night.
All right, thank you. I believe the DA is not here.
Hi, Domingo. I'm here.
Oh, Ellie, I just.
How are you? I'm kidding.
Sorry, I'm out of it, Ellie. I'm here. I don't even know what it is. Sinuses, the flu, corona. At this point, you don't even know what it
Maybe
is.
allergies? No?
I don't know what it is. It's just like I got like a headache right here.
Oh, I hope you feel better. We missed last month. Nice to see you again.
Yeah. Oh no, but last month I missed because of a situation, a worse situation. All right.
Yeah, I will be brief, and like I said, it's nice to be back here with all of you. I do have a couple of announcements. As everyone should know, next month is this month actually, June, is Gun Violence Awareness Month, and there's definitely a lot going on behalf of the office and of course our community partners and more to try to bring awareness to this issue given everything that's going on throughout the city. The first thing that I wanted to announce today is, I don't know if you guys are familiar, but on May 24, my office and DA Bragg announced the 5-year prison sentence for a ghost gun manufacturer. So DA Bragg announced the sentencing of Francisco Martinez, 39, for factoring 8 operable, untraceable ghost gun in his apartment using different components of parts he ordered online. He pleaded guilty to a criminal possession of a weapon in the 2nd degree on April 20, and he was sentenced to 5 years in prison. I do understand that this is out of the purview of the Washington Heights community. However, it was so close to home that I figured I will share that with all of you today. We are also having a gun buyback event on June 25th from 10 a.m. to 4 p.m. Again, it is a little bit out of the purview of the 33rd and the 34th precinct, but we do work very closely with the whole department to bring awareness to gun violence and make sure we get some guns off the street. As I always say, one gun off the street is a potentially life save, and I have flyers of those in English, Spanish, Chinese, Arabic, even French, because I do want to get the word out. We had a wonderful success at our last buyback in Washington Heights back in March, and I'm hoping to top that. So in March, we were able to retrieve 39 guns. So I am hoping to receive a larger number. And the last thing that I wanted to share with all of you, Domingo, that this might actually apply to you and others on this call. If you work with any high schooler, we are bringing back our poster contest to bring awareness to gun violence. So in the past, this poster contest was only geared towards middle schooler, but we're actually trying to expand it. So it's going to be geared high schoolers that have the opportunity to create a poster to bring awareness to gun violence and submit the poster to our office. And the winner school is going to receive a $500 gift card to kind of continue creating activities with the young people and then, engage them. The deadline for this contest is June 13. I have the flyers right here, and I do hope everyone, also spread the word and help us out. And whatever we can do to help anyone here within Civic 12, just reach out to me or Jocelyn.
I see OC's hand. One thing I will tell you though is my elementary school kids could draw better than a lot of the high school kids.
I can only imagine. Yeah.
They're already creating comic books on superheroes combating environmental issues. Just a heads up.
I can bring back, because I know last year we had it towards middle schooler, and maybe even how we engage our elementary kids. I'm sure they will love it. So that's something I'll be back.
That's a FYI. That's a FYI.
Hey, I appreciate it, so thank you, Domingo.
Go ahead, Osi.
Ellie, the gun buyback, you didn't mention where it is.
I'm sorry.
Hours,
I guess I'm so familiar to it. So the gun buyback is going to be located at Soul Saving Station, which the location is 302 West 124th Street. And it's going to be from 10 a.m. to 4 p.m. And as I always say, it is a no question ask event. You walk in, someone typically like myself will walk you inside the event, and you're gonna drop off the gun to an NYPD specialist. He or she's gonna inspect the gun while you sit down and wait for your prepaid gift card. And you get to, head out. You don't have to speak to us. We tried our best to make sure we have friendly faces from the community at the door, but we do understand that we want to respect everyone's privacy. So you can just come in and come out as fast as possible.
Now, what if somebody does want to talk?
When you mean talk, we are available.
Meaning like bringing a weapon in and said, hey, story about that weapon, where they got it from, or things that they know about that specific weapon that they bring in. Is there
will be people that
an officer to speak to and listen on,
to kind of like respect the theory behind it. We do not encourage anyone to share details about the specific gun or pistol or whatever they're returning. However, if you want to speak to us about resources, or if you would like to get connected to an organization and stuff like that, that is resources that we do have available with us. We just don't, share it unless you ask, because a lot of people do not want to speak or engage with the NYPD or my office. They just want to come in and drop it off. However, like I said, I'm usually at every gun buyback event. So if anyone wants to speak to me or anyone from the office or anyone from the NYPD, we welcome it. We just don't encourage it because we understand that people do not want to show their faces. They just want to come in, come out. So we're just there to serve what the community needs. So if they want to speak to someone, we can speak to them, but we're just, going with the flow.
I understand. Okay. Thank you.
Thank you, Osi.
All right, and I'm sure that the office will be sending out the flyer soon. So just keep an eye out for that. Any questions for Ellie?
Thank
All
you,
right,
Domingo and Osi.
with that being said, I don't see the fire. The FDNY is not here. We're done with our reports. Is there anything else? I don't have anything else on the agenda. So is there a motion to adjourn? Nobody wants to adjourn the meeting. I want 30, 40 more minutes.
Motion to adjourn.
Do I hear a second?
Seconded. Yeah, Gabriella usually does it, but I beat her to it.
All right.
Yeah, we twins.
All right. Have a good night.
Good night, everyone.
Good night, everybody.
Good night. Be safe.